Good morning, West County Elementary. Welcome back to library class. Today I am going to be doing a video for you guys since I'm not there. I miss you guys. Sorry I can't be there for your first week of classes, but Miss Hollifield's in there with you. For those of you that are new, welcome. My name is Mrs. Watson. I am the library teacher. I've been teaching library now for 2 years. This will be the start of my 3rd year. And I couldn't be more excited to be teaching you guys this year. We're going to go over some rules and some new things that I want to introduce to you for the library this year. So today's not going to be the most fun day in library, but that's okay because we've got many more library days ahead of us. I want you to pay attention. You're going to be kind of quizzed over what we go over today, next week when I'm there in class, and we'll kind of play a little game next week. At the end of the video, Mrs. Hollifield is going to start reading to you a book that we're going to work through as a class. So she's going to start that for me. Make sure that you're paying attention because she will ask you some questions and have you participate in some things when she gets done reading. And I think she has a little special something for those who are participating. So make sure you're listening and paying attention as she reads. I want to start off the day talking about how we ended school. I know we ended early. I wasn't in library at the end of school last year. Most of you know that I was teaching in Miss Gibson's room in 3rd grade. I had a great time in her room, but I did miss seeing you guys, so I'm glad to be back in here. A lot of you know, too, the reason why I'm not back at school yet is because I had a baby over the summer. So I am hoping to be back with you next Monday, and get to see you guys. So that's why I'm not there at school. That's why Miss Hollifield is there. Kind of taking my place for a little bit, but I'll be back with you shortly. We're going to go ahead and get started. I want to start talking to you about how you are going to enter the library. If you are in 4th or 5th grade, you should know this already, but we're going to go over it again. There are a couple new things that we're going to be doing this year in library just to try and keep us safe. So make sure you're listening and paying attention as we go over these. I have my notes so I don't forget anything. So first things first, when you come into the library, a library is a quiet place. So when you enter, you are at a level 0. That means you're not whispering, you're not talking to your neighbor. I want you to quietly walk in, get your books put away, sit down so that we can get started for the day. The faster that you guys get in and sit down, the faster we get to doing what we're supposed to be doing. So enter at a level 0. Your books, when we start to check out library books, you're going to return those on a cart that is labeled dirty. This cart will be set on the outside of my door, so before you even enter the library, your books are going to go on the library cart, and you're going to enter and go to your assigned seats. When you enter, you're going to use some hand sanitizer. Make sure that your hands are clean, fresh, ready to start library class, and then walk to your assigned seats. Miss Hollifield put you in assigned seating today, and that assigned seating is number order. That can change throughout the year based on your behavior. If you are good in library class, I may allow you to kind of pick your seats, and we'll set that as your library assigned seat, and it can be based on poor behavior as well. So make sure you're following directions, doing what you're supposed to do, and meeting my expectations. All right, so we are all in our assigned seats facing the smartboard. There should be only one person next to you at your table, so 2 total people at your table. This won't change. Last year you had 4 people at the table. This year you're only going to have 1, just to kind of keep spaced out and keep us safe. I want to talk to you about checking out books because I know you guys are so excited. First thing I want to say is if you checked out books at the end of the year last year, you got to take home more than we normally do. So if you have those books at home, please return them as soon as you can. That way I can get them back on the shelf and ready to check out again. We aren't going to check out library books until probably towards the end of September. So we've got a couple weeks until then. Until we start checking out the books, we are going to be going over new library rules, making sure that we can follow directions, making sure that we know which shelves we can and can't choose from. We're also going to be reading a new book and learning about a new person. So that book, Miss Hollifield, will start at the end of this video, so make sure you're paying attention to her. So 4th and 5th graders, 4th and 5th, you guys will be checking out 3 books all year. Last year, 4th grade only was allowed to check out 2 books. This year, you're going to start out checking out 3 books, just like 5th grade. 3rd grade, you guys will start out checking out 2 books at the beginning of the year. And then after Christmas break, you guys will get to check out 3 books total. So you get 1 more book. So I know that makes you super excited. 2nd grade, you guys will start out checking out 1 book. And then after Christmas break, you're going to check out 2 books. And then 1st grade, you guys still just check out 1 book. So that's something to look forward to when you get into 2nd grade. Moving on. Last year, we got to save or hold books. If you guys came in to me and said, "Hey, Mrs. Watson, I heard you have this library book. It's checked out right now, but can you save it for me?" And so as soon as it gets turned in to me, I mark your name on it and I get it to you as soon as possible. I will still be doing that, but it'll be a little bit different this year if that book that you're wanting to check out is a classmate's book that they returned. So if you have a friend in class and they checked out this book, and you happened to look at it while you were in your classroom, and you came back the following week and you said, "Hey, Mrs. Watson, Tyler turned in this book and I really want to check that out. Can I have it?" I'm going to tell you, well, I have to get it cleaned and get it wiped down, and then I can get it to you. That probably will not happen during library class. So if you want a book that a classmate brought in, I'll write your name down, write what book it was, and I'll either bring it to you at the end of the day or you'll get it the next day. I'll put it in your teacher's mailbox and she'll get it to you the next day. So that's going to be a little bit different this year. But we'll go over that as those come in. I told you when we can check out books. We'll start at the end of September, so something to look forward to. The week before we check out books, I'll go over again what shelves you guys are allowed to check out books from. So something to be looking forward to. The main things I want to go over today are things that are going to be new in library to you guys. There's a couple things that I want to add to the library, I think, to make it more fun and enjoyable for you guys, and to just make library a more organized place for you and for me. So I want to start out by saying this is going to be something that we're going to have to work on and we're going to have to learn together, but I'm sure you guys will get it and pick up on it really, really quick. It is called a Bulldog Bark Day, is what I want to add. And this Bulldog Bark Day is an incentive for you guys for good behavior in the library. And I'm going to explain how to earn this Bulldog Bark Day. So it's going to take a little bit for us to get used to. If it doesn't make sense right now, that's okay. We're going to work on it for the next couple weeks, and we'll get it. But the main goal is good behavior in the library. And it's going to make, I think it'll make library a little bit more fun or exciting. So every time you come into the library, there are expectations that I have for you guys, whether that be you're at a level 0 when you walk in. Maybe you're whispering while we're checking out books. Maybe that day we're doing a hands-on activity and you're a little bit louder. That's okay. Maybe you're walking in the library. Things like that. All those things are meeting my expectation. If you're doing those things, you're meeting my expectation. And I want to reward you for that. So in library, we're going to have things called bark points and poor choice points. If you are, as a group, whispering while we're checking out books, I'm going to stop the class and say, hey, you're meeting my expectations. You guys get 1 bark point. Okay? Now say things start to get a little loud in the library and we're supposed to be at that whisper level. I'm going to stop and say, you're not meeting my expectations. You get 1 poor choice point. I need you to be at a level 1 whispering. And that's how the system's going to work. So if I see that everyone's following directions, you get a bark point. If you are not meeting my expectations, you're going to get a poor choice point. So as we're working through library, as we're going through library class, at the end of library, if we have more bark choice points than poor choice points, we're going to get 1 point toward that bulldog bark day. My goal for you is to get 4 bulldog bark day points. So when you come into library 4 times, and all 4 times you have more bark bone points than you do poor choice points, you're going to get an incentive. A day in the library that you guys get to decide what we do. So I came up with a couple ideas just to give you some examples of something that we could do on this bulldog bark day. We could bring in stuffed animals from home and bring them to the library and buddy read. We could, Mrs. Bosler ordered some new chairs, like flex seating chairs, so like the big bouncy balls or the chairs that you sit on and they kind of rock. She ordered a bunch of those. So we could actually take that flex seating chart or cart and we could put it in the library for the day and you guys have flex seating all day in library. Maybe we take stuff from the Makerspace ASAP after school program stuff and we have a whole day of just building or doing stuff with the Makerspace things. And I know you guys would have so many more ideas. So we could, as a class, vote on what you think we should do during library. I'll take suggestions. We'll write them down on the board. We'll close our eyes and everybody will vote on their favorite. And whichever one wins, that's what we stick with. And our Bulldog Bark Day, that's what we'll do. And we'll set that date and that way you guys have something to look forward to. On this Bulldog Bark Day, if it is buddy reading all class and it is bringing a stuffed animal all class, you guys will still check out books. So don't feel like you're going to miss out on checking books if we have this Bulldog Bark Day. So I don't want to take away checking out books because that's the most fun thing to do. So to get these points, these bark bone points, you guys are going to have to work together as a class. So if I see that everybody's doing what they're supposed to, that's how we're going to earn these points. Now, if I see that everybody is following these directions except 1 or 2 people, I'm going to start implementing a clip chart. And if you are following directions, doing what you're supposed to, but your neighbor's not, and I see that, I'm going to say, hey, clip down, you're not meeting my expectations. On our clip chart, you can either lose recess minutes. You may have to have a talk with Mrs. Bosler, your teacher, and I about things that can change to make your behavior better. Or you may even lose the ability to check out books. So making sure that you're on your best behavior in the library is super important. Not only just because library is a quiet place and things like that, but it's also to keep you safe. If you're running through the library, you could trip and get hurt. So these rules are in place not just because I'm a teacher and I say so. There's a reason to have rules, and it's to keep you safe. So, also our clip chart. If our clip chart clips down, of course our clip chart will clip up too. If as a class everybody is not meeting my expectations and maybe one or two are, I'll have those people clip up, and you can be rewarded either with something from the prize box. Maybe you get the bark bone that day, things like that. Oh, with the bark bone, I forgot to tell you. If we end the day with more bark bone or bark choice points and less poor choice points, that's also how you're going to earn your bulldog bark bone, your library bark bone for the day. And a lot of your teachers are going to use these in your classroom for incentives as well. So that's how you're going to earn that. Talked about that. All right. That was a lot of information, and I know you guys have been sitting for a while, so if Miss Hollifield needs to pause the video and get you guys up and doing a movement activity, she can do this here. But if not, I'm going to keep going and talk about another new thing that we're going to implement. Another thing that I want to implement or add to the library is our library rules. So every time we come into the library, you may need a reminder on what I expect of you. A lot of times I try and say my expectations, what I expect of you that day, but I want to be better at it. So what I want to do is every time you come into the library, you enter at a level 0, your books are on the cart outside, you've used your hand sanitizer, you're seated, quiet, waiting for directions. During this time, I am going to choose a leader of the class, and the leader could be someone different every week, maybe someone different every month. We'll figure that out when we get there, but I'm going to choose a leader, and the leader is going to lead the class in our library rules and saying our library rules. This way, I know that you know the rules because we've set them at the beginning of the class, and it's a refresher for you. Here's what Mrs. Watson expects of me in the library. This is what she wants me to do. So, I'm going to read these rules to you. You're not going to remember them because it's the first day of library class and I've given you a bunch of information already. I just want you to hear the rules one time, and we'll work on memorizing them and knowing them later on. Rule number 1 is I listen to my librarian. Rule number 2 is I ask if I need help. If I need help finding a book, if I need help doing my activity for the day, I ask if I need help. 3, I am respectful of others. Number 4, I read and talk quietly. Number 5, I always walk, I never run. And number 6, I return books to their proper place. And number 6, we're really going to have to work on this year. I think it's super important for you guys to know how the library works. So that's something that we're really going to work on this year. And being able to put books back where you found them is super important. So the leader will go over these rules every day that you're in library at the beginning of class. And my leader, I'm going to leave it up to you of how you lead the class in doing these things or in saying these rules. You can do it in a silly voice. So me, if I was the leader and I wanted to do a silly voice, I would say, "Listen to my librarian." And then the class would repeat what I just said in the voice that I just said. So it gives the leader the freedom to act a little funny, a little silly. If the leader is not meeting my expectations during their time, I will have them sit down, we'll start again, and I'll choose a different leader, or I'll just do it that day. For the first couple weeks, probably until we start to check out books, I'll be the leader. And that way you guys get to see me doing them and see what I expect the rules look like while we say the rules. And you guys get used to hearing them. And I think that's it for that one. All right. So we've gone over what to do at the beginning of class. We've gone over my expectations during class. Now at the end of class, about 10 minutes or so before we leave, depending on our activity that day, we may need more time or less time to clean up. I'm going to give you a warning, and I will say 10 minutes until we leave. When you hear that, that is your signal to say, "Oh, Mrs. Watson said it's almost time to leave. Here's what I need to do to pick up." My expectations are that your table is cleared off, all paper is thrown away or recycled. If we have colors out that day, your colors are put away where they go. There's nothing on the floor. Your chairs are being pushed in when we get ready to line up. The library should look like it did when you walked in. So, also during this time, I expect you to make your final selections on your books. If you are still looking for a book, that's fine. You still got a couple minutes, but that book needs to be picked and then checked out by me. This time is also for those of you that forgot to see me to check out your books, because that happens a lot. We'll be getting lined up and somebody runs up and says, "Oh, Mrs. Watson, you didn't check out my books yet." That's not my fault, because I know I called your table. So during this time, if you haven't seen me, you need to see me to get your books checked out. That way we're not rushing out of the classroom and doing it right before your teacher gets there. The last 2 minutes of class is when we'll actually get lined up. So this is the time that chair's pushed in, you're getting lined up, you're facing forward, you are hands to yourself, not touching the books around you, and you're ready to enter the hallway. You are going to line up at the back wall, just like we did last year, along the black shelf. And instead of lining up one right on top of each other, space out just a little bit if you want to have a square in front of you and a square behind you. That would be perfect. I think it's a great thing to do. During this time, I will also be getting bark bones ready. So those who have clipped up, those are the people that I'm going to be choosing for a bark bone. My leader of the day, whoever did the rules at the beginning of class, is going to move our clip chart clips back to ready to learn. That way they're ready for the next class. So that's going to be another job for the leader. If we end up having, I hope we don't, a poor choice point day, that means we have more poor choices than we do bark choice points. We're going to talk as a class about how we can do better in library next week. We're going to talk about what expectations we didn't meet that day. Maybe we were talking too loudly. Maybe we weren't following directions. Maybe we weren't doing the assignment that Mrs. Watson gave us. We're going to talk about that as a class and decide what we can do to be better for next week. I think that's it. I know we've had a lot of changes this year, and it's been a crazy, crazy time. But I think we're going to have a great year. I hope we have a great year, and I can't wait to see you guys and get back to you. If you have any questions for me, talk to Mrs. Hollifield. She'll write them down for me, and we'll talk about them next week. Because I know sometimes we have a question and we forget by next week. So Mrs. Hollifield will write that down for you, and we can talk about it next week. That's a lot of information that I just gave you. So let it soak in. We'll be working on all of these things for the next couple weeks in library, and I think it'll be a great year. So I will see you next week. I can't wait to see you guys, and I hope you have a great first week of school. I will see you next week. Bye.